Segment 4, The View from Israel. One of the 4 principal goals listed in the Hezbollah Manifesto of 1985, quote, Israel's final departure from Lebanon is a prelude to its final obliteration, close quote. Now, by now, a lot of people in the Middle East have learned, a lot of Muslims in the Middle East have learned to live with Israel. Egypt, by far the most populous Arab country, we'll see how it plays out in coming days, but for more than 30 years, Egypt kept the terms, roughly, of its peace treaty with Israel. Why not Hezbollah?
Hezbollah is extremely ideological. The government of Egypt has not been ideological since Gamal Abdel Nasser died.
54, maybe, something like that.
I don't remember exactly the date. It was in the 50s.
A long time ago.
Egypt has had a pragmatic, non-ideological military regime since then. And Egypt lost a number of wars with Israel. The Egyptian army lost the wars with Israel, and the Egyptian army has been running Egypt. And the Egyptian army wasn't really particularly interested in another go-around.
So, well, we'll come back to this, but what you're saying is that Hezbollah, from this distance, one of the big questions for Americans when they look at the Middle East is what motivates these people. And broadly speaking, one large argument is all they want is normal lives. They want the trash collected, they want good jobs, they want a chance to build homes with running water and good hygiene and give their children a good education. And broadly speaking, the other school of thought is, no, they don't. They really want something. The reestablishment of a caliphate, some sort of 12th century style theocracy. What you're saying is that this second school of thought is correct, at least as it applies to Hezbollah. They don't want some sort of modern functioning democracy. They want, what do they want?
They want an Islamist state, and they want resistance. Resistance is like the core of their ideology. Resistance against Israel, against the United States, against the West, against Sunni Muslims, against Christians, you name it. They hate basically everybody who's not themselves.
Now, the Fatima Gate is a long-closed border crossing between Lebanon and Israel. In the road to Fatima Gate, you reach the Fatima Gate, and you spend some time on both sides. You describe a conversation you had with an Israeli lieutenant. This is shortly before the Israeli-Hezbollah war of 2006. Quote, "Every day I wave at Lebanese people," he said. "Do they ever wave back?" I said, "Not usually, no." "Do you know why?" I asked. "Because waving hello to an Israeli is treason." What does it cost Israel? What does it do to Israel to know that southern Lebanon is, at this stage, I think you have to say, more or less permanently controlled by an organization dedicated to Israel's obliteration? What does that do to the... What defense burdens does it impose on the Israeli defense forces? What does it do to the Israeli public opinion?
Israelis feel seriously under attack. They always have felt under attack since the nation-state was founded. And Lebanon, I think, frightens them more than anyone else or anything else. Because here you've got, controlling the northern border, a organization that is a political party, a militia, a terrorist organization, and in some ways a conventional army. It's all of these things at the same time. And they have a missile arsenal that is bigger than what most national armies have. And Hezbollah has actually succeeded in fighting the Israelis to a standstill. Okay. No one else has ever been able to do that.
This brings us 34 days in July and August of 2006. There's war between Israel and Hezbollah paramilitary units. Some 1,200 dead, mostly Lebanese. 1 million displaced Lebanese moved north from the southern tier of the country. Perhaps 300,000 displaced Israelis. 2 quotations from the road to Fatima Gate. 1, most Israelis were convinced, this is you in your own words, most Israelis were convinced that they had either lost or that the conclusion in the war was at best a draw. Almost everyone in the world seemed to believe that. That's quotation 1. Here's quotation 2. And here you're talking with Michael Oren, who was at the time a spokesman for the Israeli Defense Forces and is now the Israeli ambassador to Washington. Quote, quoting Michael Oren, "Hezbollah's command and control south of Beirut is completely gone. We killed 550 Hezbollah fighters south of the Litani River out of an active force of 1,250. Hezbollah claimed South Lebanon would be the graveyard of the IDF, Israeli Defense Forces. but we lost only 0.1% of our soldiers. Most Israelis believe that something went terribly wrong in that war. Michael Oren says, look at the statistics. It was a military victory for us. What's going on?
Well, Oren is right. It was, if you compare Israel and Hezbollah with the same criteria, Israel clearly won the war because Hezbollah took many, many times, orders of magnitude, more casualties. And South Lebanon absorbed far more physical destruction to buildings and infrastructure than northern Israel did. But the two countries, or I shouldn't, Hezbollah is not a country. The two sides,
Two forces, two sides, sure.
the two sides are not judged with the same criteria. Hezbollah says that it won the war because it's still standing, which actually is, like I had said earlier, the only Arab fighting force that has ever fought Israel to a standstill. So it does look like, from its point of view, like it has won a war with Israel.
Why did Israel accept the standstill? Why didn't the IDF go into southern Lebanon and clean it out?
I don't think it's possible, actually.
As a military matter, you can't get to them because they're operating in a civilian population?
Yes, and they're a guerrilla army. They're a terrorist army, they're also a guerrilla army. Israel, if Israel wants to clean out South Lebanon, it's going to have to fight a counterinsurgency. We know how hard counterinsurgencies are. We've been fighting the Taliban in Afghanistan for how long now?
10
years.
10
and we're not
years.
done. And we might not ever be done. Israel fought Hezbollah in South Lebanon from 1982 to 2000 and failed to get rid of Hezbollah for 18 years. So why the Israeli government thought that it could get rid of Hezbollah in 1 month after failing to get rid of Hezbollah in 18 years is quite honestly beyond me.